Hey there, good evening and welcome to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show. This is a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So we're back with our series, which is Battle of the Bands. This is round 2, as most of you who've been following will know. So I believe this is for March the 22nd, day 22, battle number 22. Really, not really much of a battle, I have to say. This is probably one of the more lopsided victories to date. 2 albums that we're doing. One from the Australian band Heaven, Twilight of Mischief, which came out in 1982. And they're taking on Winterhawk's revival from 1982. Yeah, pretty much a lopsided affair here. So we'll start with Heaven because that's the first band they gave me on the list. They've got 10 tracks here. Pretty much standard right from top to bottom. For me, this falls within that hair metal genre from the 1980s. Although these guys are Australian, so it's a little bit heavier than a lot of hair metal bands would be, and they don't really have the hair metal image. A little bit, but not really a lot. But definitely the hair metal philosophy to me is heavy riffing, screeching vocals, and guitar solo about halfway through to about 3/4 of the way through. Somewhere in that general range. Instrumentation is it's average. There's nothing fantastic here. Nobody stands out. In fact, the whole album doesn't really have anything that really stands out much. There's a few tracks where it's a little bit different, like The Storm, which has the kind of a heavy bass opening. That's a little bit different from the other songs. And then there's the ballad, which is different, but not in a good way. It's actually, it sounds like it's in a bar. Really bad production on that particular track, and to sing a ballad when you got all these people talking in a bar doesn't really work very well. When you're doing a ballad, to me, it's got to be a very clear sound and no noise in the background, and there's just this sounds like almost like a karaoke where somebody's singing their heart out and nobody's listening. Sorry, I guess that's not really fair to the band. But you know what? It's all in fun, anyways. And of course, this is all just my opinion about it. It doesn't mean that it's the absolute definitive way in which people look at this group and their album. I just found that particular thing funny. For the most part, it's pretty heavier than most of those kind of bands of that type of music. The vocals are very, he has that nasal work in his voice, so when I hear that, I've seen from one of the other sites that I watch sometimes, I don't always watch these type of people that react to different musical things. There's one particular girl I like a lot, not because so much of her reactions to the thing, which it's dramatic because it has to be, otherwise she wouldn't get anybody. Well, I shouldn't say that. She would get people watching the show, but she gets more people watching the show because of the way in which she is dramatic about it. But she's really actually quite good at understanding what's going on when somebody's singing, and so I like listening to her, so I kind of get some feed on what's going on. And this guy has this nasal voice, which means, by her explanation, it means that he's singing through that part of his face, which comes out that way. And this is not a very uncommon thing with Australian bands either. I see quite a few of them have that kind of inflection in their music. I don't know if it's natural sound of the voice, Australian voice, or if it's perhaps it's just the way it sounds, I don't know. Anyways, really pretty heavy in that area, but he's good. I think he fits the band. He actually takes away that hair metal sound a bit, which is good. I think it's good. And So all the tracks on this are a little on the weak side, I'd say. I didn't pass many of them. The two first tracks I like the most, Nothing to Lose and Fantasy. Really hard guitar riffing here. The second song's more of a vocal talk-like thing going on. He's singing, but it's kind of in a talking style. But I like it. It's not a bad track. And then the first track, again, it's that same kind of heavy riffing and nasal vocals. And I believe the solo starts, if I'm correct, and I think it's this song, starts out with that tapping thing, that the tapping, guitar tapping, and then goes into another type of soloing. So overall, it's not a bad album. I wouldn't say this is a bad album. I mean, it won the first round, although it was up against a dreadful album, but it still won the first battle, and did a good job. But I just don't think it's up to going much beyond where it is. So on to the second album, which is much better album here, much better group. Just about everything on this is much more my style, I believe, and much better quality, I believe. So the album is Winterhawk's Revival from 1982, actually the same year. They're an American band that for some reason didn't really have the kind of commercial success that their music suggests that they should have. I think it's probably a management record label issue. I think they weren't promoted properly, and they weren't promoted properly in the right places. They weren't put. You really need to have a manager. If you have a good band, you really need to have a manager who's dogged about getting you on tours with other big bands. You really need that. You need somebody who has either an in or just is pushy and just keeps going at it until he gets you on these tours. And I don't know if Winterhawk had that or they didn't have that. It's just unfortunate, because if they had any kind of commercial success or any kind of success at all, I think they would have made quite a few more albums. Now I know they did make some more albums, but it's just unfortunate. But anyways, I don't want to browbeat that. It is what it is. It doesn't distract or take away from this album at all, I think, which is a great album. I think it's one of my favorite ones in this tournament. I gave 3 songs on this a 7, and the 3 songs a 6. Only one song I gave a little bit less. So the intro is an instrumental. It's fantastic. The drum opening is really good. All those rolls and stuff. This guy's fast. He's fast drummer. The guitar part is really good, really well done. I think the strength of this album is its instrumentation. All three instrumentalists on this are really good. I just think the drummer and the guitar player are better. The guitar player is a little bit better than the drummer. But it's not just that. They put the songs together in a way that's really kind of catchy. This opening track's good. The next one, Sanctuary, I love this song a lot. Really heavy guitar part here. And his soloing is fantastic on this song as well. Just really showing his skill level. The next song, Period of Change, another really good, great kind of guitar solo part. Like the drums and the rhythm section are really good. They add a lot of support to his guitar soloing, and it doesn't sound like some bands you get they go off soloing and it really doesn't fit the song. I don't know if any of you have experienced this, where you've got this riff going along and this guy just goes off on this solo that takes the song somewhere else, but doesn't really come back to where they were. So you don't really know where it's going. It just sounds out of place, but you don't get any of that here. The next song, another great song on this album, Can't See the Forest from the Trees. This is a kind of boogie woogie song, like it just has that early boogie woogie feel to it, like a funky beat. But I really like this song. It grew on me a lot on this particular listen. I'd heard it the first couple times, but this time, like I heard it on Ben's album challenge, and then on the first round, but on this particular track, it was really good. Just really solid, really catchy track. I enjoyed it a lot. I think if I owned this album, I would enjoy it much more because I can play it where I want to play it, when I want to play it. I don't really enjoy listening to the music as much on the internet, hence the reason why I have this stack of CDs behind me, because I don't really enjoy radio music or internet music. I don't think I could be one of these Spotify people. That just wouldn't fly with me. But anyways, this is a great track. And then you got Revival, which is the title track of the song. This is the one song not as crazy about this track. It does have some kind of Triumph sounding parts to it. The drums are strong on this as well as it is on most of the tracks, but more so on this particular track. This is probably my least favorite track on the album. The next song, Ace in the Hole, I would venture to say at this point it's probably my favorite track on the album. It's really close between it and the other two sevens though. It's got a heavy riff that's opening. It's a real catchy track. I like the Gilmore-like vocals on here. See, most of them are more in the Rick Emmett range, but this particular track, I don't know if it's the same guy singing. I think it is. I think he just is using a different sound to his voice, but it's really a Gilmore track, and it really gives it that real Triumph feel to it. Definitely a song that would fit well on a lot of Triumph albums. Yeah, just fantastic. If you like Triumph, this is the band for you, by the way. I think you got it. I think you got to like this band if you like Triumph. There's a lot of similarities here, I see. The last track, Free to Live. Another strong track, lots of guitar, kind of a rushy guitar opening, and then lots of really good soloing on this and drums as well. So overall, the drums, the guitars, really good on this. The music's well put together. The production's pretty good. I think it's pretty good. They tend to focus a little bit on the drums and the guitar, which is good, which is the strong parts of this album. Definitely a fairly clear sound to it. It's a really solid album. I don't know how it did financially. I don't know how it sold. I never checked on that, but I would love to own it, man. Definitely one of the tracks from Ben's album challenge that I really liked. Anyways, I've talked fairly lengthy on this video because I quite enjoyed that Winterhawk album, and the battle went pretty good tonight. Bit of a lopsided one, but either way it's fine. Winterhawk, of course, will go on to the next round, and Heaven will go by the wayside, and we'll be back with another one on the 23rd. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. It's much appreciated. And if you've had any experience with either of the albums, I would be interested in knowing. I like to learn a little bit more about the band, and you can't rely on Wikipedia, because people say things on Wikipedia that they may be right, but sometimes they're not. Also, I like to hear from people's experiences as well. So anyways, so you have a good night, and this will come out tomorrow morning at its traditional time, 8 o'clock, and we'll be back with another Battle of the Bands on Thursday morning. So take care and have a good night. Goodbye.